And so welcome back. Some of you are here for the first time from any of our webinars, and so we extend to you an extra special welcome. On the line with me here today from Clear Insight are Kit Chan, who's responsible for professional services, Bob Gill, principal architect, and Susan Malik, our president. And so you will probably hear from them as we go through our webinar today. Our agenda today, as was provided to you in the emails, and what we want to kind of cover today, is we're taking it a step further from the last webinar. So many of you in a position where you need to upgrade your Clarity product, but you have options. So the first webinar we talked about Clarity specifically and upgrading to the latest version of Clarity. However, IBM has endorsed a number of options for Clarity customers, such as yourselves, of where you can go. And so this second webinar is to present to you the two options, which specifically are Cognos TM1 and Cognos Express. So we're going to take a minute, just take a step back and talk about why upgrading Clarity. Then we are going to look at each of TM1 and Express, give you a little overview about them. And then we're going to turn it over to Kit, who's going to do some live demos for you of TM1 and Express so you get an idea of what they look like. And then, as always, we will go into Q&A. Which reminds me, please, as we're going through the presentation, enter your questions into the question box there. And Susan will be capturing those questions, and we'll read them out when we come to the Q&A session at the end. So please be sure to enter in your questions as we go along. So for those of you who might be new to Clear Insight, just a little bit about who we are. We are an advanced IBM business partner, and we specialize in the Office of Finance. And our focus is around the products of Clarity, TM1, FSR, and Cognos Disclosure Management. We're a business partner who supports quite a number of verticals across North America and around the world. And so some of you on the line are clients of ours, and others, we welcome you to this as well. So that's just quickly who we are. So first of all, in our little step back, why upgrade to Clarity? So if you were on the first one, a little bit of a rerun here, but if you weren't, this is important, just a slide or two here on why do we need to upgrade to Clarity. As most of you will know, if you're on Clarity version 5 or version 6, the support from IBM for Clarity version 6 ended December 2012. So there's number one reason why you need to upgrade. If you were on any version of Clarity prior to version 7, you are out of support with IBM. Now that's technically out of support. As we have mentioned before, IBM will still take your call, but for all intents and purposes, you are an unsupported version of Clarity and missing out on a lot of the new things that are out there. So there definitely is a strong need for you to transition out of your older versions of Clarity. The other reason, of course, is that there are new versions. Since version 7.0 came out, there's been a number of releases in the version 7 series of Clarity, and the most recent version was in November of last year, was Clarity version 7.2.1, Fixed Pack 1. So that is the most recent version available to you if you are up to date on your maintenance and support with IBM. Then that version is available for you at no cost to download from IBM. Of course, that's the easy part, is downloading the new version. The complexity, of course, in coming from version 5 or 6 is transitioning your system, your reports, your templates, your custom coding, all of that. And so we've talked about that in the past. But in the latest version, certainly you want to keep up because it will allow you to use it in the latest operating systems, i.e. 9, Windows 7, etc. A number of enhancements in there, as well as support, which is interesting as it relates to this webinar. The latest version that just came out will support TM1 as a database for your Clarity front end. So instead of Clarity running against your Essbase or your Microsoft OLAP, you can, with 7.2.1 FixPack 1, use TM1 as your underlying database engine. And so that will be something you might want to think about as we go through this and learn a little bit more about TM1. There are as well future releases being planned as we work with IBM Product Management. There is a new release planned for Q2 of this year, and then ultimately Q2 of 2014 as well. Of course, again, that's with all the IBM legal prerequisites and all that kind of thing, but that is what is in the plans. And essentially, it is to keep your version of Clarity up to date with operating systems and integrated systems that you would have to work with. The good news with that, of course, is you've got new versions coming out. It will be supported and going forward. So IBM is still investing very much in Clarity, still a strong product that can support your needs going forward. And once you get on to Clarity 7, there is should be no need going forward for you to have to do the report rewrites that are required to get you from 5 and 6 to 7. That should never happen again. So the good news then, of course, as we mentioned, is Clarity is here for quite a while, till 2017, 2019, given a 5-year support window for each of the released products. So you can have confidence that you're on a product that will be in the market for quite a while, and as long as you do the upgrades. If you don't do the upgrades, if you stick on 5 or 6, you will find yourself stuck and eventually behind the 8 ball. So if you're stick with Clarity, make sure you plan to do the upgrades as they become available. But for the record, so this takes us to what this webinar is about. You will be supported on Clarity. You can continue to leverage Clarity. However, IBM has put all their strategic investment in the space of financial performance management, budgeting, planning, forecasting, all of that investment from a strategic point of view, new capabilities, new features, that is going into the Cognos TM1 product, not into Clarity. So when you saw my little list there, the things that are going into Clarity are just things to keep it working in your environment, not new enhancements and new features necessarily. So IBM has put its strategic focus into TM1. Okay, so just to make sure we're all there and everybody's online, we're going to do another little poll like we did in the last webinar. And 2 quick questions for you. As you think about where you're at with Clarity, what best describes your current upgrade plans with Clarity? And then the next question will be, when you are planning to start your Clarity upgrade, when are you planning to do it, to upgrade or to transition? So I'll ask Susan to put the first question up for us. And you should all be able to click in there on what your thoughts are. And this could be, answer it from the perspective of what your thoughts were going into this webinar. Your thoughts might change coming out of the webinar, but let's see where each of you are at this point. We're up to about 85% have voted. We'll give you another second or two. All right, let's close that poll up, Susan. And so there you see the results, which is very interesting. As we work with Clarity clients across North America, we do find that once the system is in and working well for people, they like it, they're comfortable with it, and many folks at this stage of the game want to stick with Clarity and just transition to the next versions, especially once you understand and realize that there is a lifespan for another 5 to 7 years on it. However, as is in the poll here actually, the ones who are thinking maybe I need to move is that a realization that eventually I'm going to have to move, and maybe now would be the time. And the reason for that, just a quick aside, is there is, as you will find, quite an expense to get from version 5 or 6 up to version 7. And so rather than put that expense into Clarity and then later into another product to get there, this is an opportunity to take a step back and say, do I take that expense and that investment and put it directly into a new alternative instead of Clarity and making 2 jumps? And that's the thinking behind that, and that's maybe what you should be thinking about as we're going through this webinar. Okay, so second poll question, when are you planning to start your Clarity upgrade or transition? If you can open that up, Susan. Take a minute to read that, and really it's ultimately, are you thinking about doing it earlier this year, later this year, or beyond? For about 80%, we'll give you another minute there. Okay, very good, Susan. We can close that up. And so an interesting cross-section, almost across the board, other than the majority are looking to push it out to next year. The timing, as we discovered with working with clients and from our last webinar, the timing is key, especially for the Office of Finance, depending on when your budget is, when you're going to roll over years, etc., is to work that in effectively, and that's a key thing for your timing. But for those of you that are pushing it out to 2014, just again keep in mind that you are on an unsupported version, but if it's working and things don't upset it, then you should still be all right. Okay. Very good. Let's continue on. So the next thing then is just to kind of give you a little overview of these 2 alternatives. So really, why is Cognos TM1 and Cognos Express, why are they viable alternatives for you as a Clarity client as you think about your upgrade? With respect to Cognos TM1, the first reason is, as we mentioned, that it is the strategic product coming out from IBM to support what Clarity does for you, budgeting, planning, and forecasting. As a result, IBM has put out a licensing equivalency incentive for you as Clarity clients. Ultimately, what that means is for every end-user license of Clarity that you have today, if you go to Cognos TM1, you can swap out your Clarity license for a TM1 end-user license at no charge. So if you have 50, 60, 100 users of Clarity, that can be a substantial savings to be able to get those end user licenses at no charge. And that is an incentive specifically for you as Clarity clients so that IBM can help you in your transition to TM1. So that's a reason there. Of course, it's the strategic direction. As many of you identified, one of the reasons that you would think about moving would be for strategic direction needs, and that is the direction for IBM. TM1, really, you can consider it as Clarity on steroids. It's got all the functionality of what Clarity does, plus numerous other capabilities that are in there. And as Kit will show you in the demo, you can replicate your Clarity environment, plus you can have new features in the TM1 product. And it is very much a high-end enterprise-wide environment to support multi-cubes and client-server architecture. Is Cognos Express. Now, Cognos Express, why is that a valid option, well, that really is everything that TM1 exists within Cognos Express as a product as well. Plus, it includes all of the business intelligence capabilities that you're going to want for reporting, dashboarding, analytic capability. It does have a restriction, though, as a maximum 100 users. So if you are a large environment, then Cognos Express probably is not the product for you. But if you can support less than 100 users and you are interested in the additional capabilities of business intelligence, you get all of what is in TM1 in a package of Cognos Express, including these new features. So it is very much a viable option for Clarity clients, and it is very competitively priced as well. So a little deeper then, what is IBM Cognos TM1? Well, it is essentially, when you hear TM1, TM1 is a term used to describe the back-end OLAP cube, the database engine. Cube is TM1, but TM1 is also the whole package, including the front end, that provides you with planning, analysis, and profitability. It is a multi-dimensional cube environment, and a little different than Clarity in that the intent is that you will use many cubes to support your solution versus Clarity, you're just using 1 or 2 cubes. It's a high-end 64-bit in-memory engine, so it's very powerful to support literally thousands of users if you need to do that. Some key points for you as Clarity clients is that we can replicate the Clarity look and feel if you want to do that, so you have very little training from a general end user perspective. You can commingle graphs and grid, which is difficult to do in Clarity. It is very tightly integrated with Excel, so you have the ability to build all your reports in Excel, post them up to the web, and leverage them and make them available in the power of a scalable, controlled, secure environment, but being able to use Excel as your reporting engine. And you'll see that when Kit shows it to you. Better and improved managed security, workflow, and ability to contribute from multiple users than you have in Clarity. As well as in Clarity, you know that you have versioning, as many of you use, to support different models. In TM1, there's a feature called Sandbox that Kit will show you that's a much more integrated process for individuals creating different models. So some other reasons along with TM1 is it is a product that is designed to be owned by finance. So it's in the same way that most Clarity implementations, finance is the owner. IT supports it from a server and a technical perspective, but really the system is managed, reports are developed, the whole system is controlled by finance. The same can very much be true for TM1. And so that has quite an attractive feature for most finance offices. It's the scalability and power. Now, interesting, on our little question, not many of you said you were looking for an alternative for performance. We have talked to a number of Clarity clients who were not able to implement longer-term 5-year planning and some of these things because the performance of Clarity wasn't there to support it. And if you're in that kind of a situation, TM1 can do that, and it can give you very good performance on longer-term planning capabilities. And it's designed to do that for you. As well as, of course, the additional capabilities that are in there. Some other reasons with TM1 as well is you have multiple interfaces. You can have the Excel interface plug into Excel. You can use the contributor web application, and as well in the middle there you see the new Cognos Insight product. Every end user license of TM1 comes with Cognos Insight, which gives you a lot more visually appealing interfaces into your data systems and still provides the right back that you need to do for budgeting and forecasting across the board. So that's a quick little high level of TM1 for you and some of the capabilities there. We'll dive into it in the what Kit will do for you, but ask some questions as we go along. Okay, the next one is Cognos Express. As we are thinking about Cognos Express, everything that we talked about just previously about TM1 from a budgeting, planning, forecasting perspective is part of Cognos Express. And that really is what you see there, the Cognos Express Planner. That allows that. But when you buy Cognos Express, you have the option of also having the Express Reporter, the Accelerator, and the Advisor. Each of these interfaces give additional functionality, and it allows you to use this system for not just the budgeting, planning, and forecasting, but essentially your distribution mechanism for reporting and analysis out to the rest of the organization with features like dashboards, dynamic drilling capability into your reports. All of these kind of capabilities can be tapped into the same environment, leveraging a TM1 cube under the covers, and so your reporting can come off of the same data sets that your budgeting and planning data sits in. Again, the key is, though, it's only going to work for you if you can support under 100 users. So it can support Cognos Express varied needs. So you've got the mobile capability as well. It supports iPads, so if you've got end users who want to access the information in a mobile way, it can support that. The business insight for detailed dashboard reporting, the drill-through reports. You'll see down at the bottom left there the TM1 cubes. That's more like your budgeting planning that you're doing, as well as you can get into the predictive. It supports the leveraging the SPSS, so you can put predictive measures into your reports as well to help with that. So there's quite a integrated set of features and capabilities in Cognos Express that for Clarity clients presents an opportunity to transition from Clarity into Cognos Express, put all of your budgeting, planning, forecasting needs, have those built within the TM1 components, but then also have these other capabilities as well. And so this is kind of where we were talking in that you're able to, if you're thinking about that spend to get from Clarity 5 and 6 up to Clarity 7, that spend, which would be basically equivalent from a servicing perspective, could get you into a Cognos Express or a TM1 with the down the road option of adding these new capabilities. So in addition to varied interfaces, of course, it's going to support your multiple departments. So right now within Clarity, you're probably mostly using things like the finance screenshots that are shown here of your financial data and your planning data, etc. Within a Cognos Express environment, additional data sets can be made available, so you can have dashboards for operations, for IT, for HR, for sales, etc. And these all can be specifically designed against those data sets to support those needs. Okay, well, we moved along fairly quickly there in that overview. And part of that was because seeing is believing often, and a picture's worth 1,000 words. And so that's where Kit is going to kick in, and I'm going to turn it over to Kit and give him control, and he will walk you through a number of demos of the two products, and then we'll come back for Q&A and a little bit of a wrap-up. All right, Kit, I'm going to turn it over to you as organizer.
Great. Thanks, Ian. Good afternoon, everybody, and good morning to those of you on the West Coast. So what I'm going to show you right now is, or in a minute, will be some demonstrations that we have. So the first one I'm going to show you is what TM1 looks like if you convert a straight Clarity install into a TM1. Now, I know that that's probably a major concern, as Ian said, about converting out of Clarity. So really the idea of this particular demo is to show you that even though it's a new product, TM1, you can make your user environment look a lot like what you had before. So really that will help to assist with your user acceptance as well as reduce your training and ramping up time. So sure you're familiar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you Clarity 7. As you know, Clarity 7 and Clarity 6 look very similar from the front end. Now, what we've done here is we've taken the Clarity demo image and we've fully converted that into a TM1 installation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into Clarity. You can see very familiar interface, with your menu on top. Navigating to each menu will get you, certain areas. Now, of course, this is the demo, so, I'm only going to show you some of the demo reports. All right, so let's have a look at a couple of typical reports here. So here's an income statement report that's from the demo cube as part of the install. Again, your reports might look very similar to this, and it might not. So I'm going to also show you a template. Let's look at expense template budget. All right, so far so good. I'm sure you guys have seen this as either part of training or you guys have built something similar. Now, even though this is a Clarity 7 installation, for those of you on earlier versions can see that it's very much like Clarity 6, etc. So you can see here, very typical. I can enter data here, right? And for a report, no, it's just I can't enter reports, or sorry, I can't enter data. So I'm going to minimize this and show you what those two particular ones look like in TM1. Logging in. So first thing you notice is that for a slightly different looking feel, it's still based in a browser, but you have a left-hand side navigation bar here. And what I've done is I've actually replicated the Clarity menu on the left-hand side. So as you can see here is your My Report, My Templates. As I expand my tree, you can see, let me expand this a little bit here. All right, so I didn't convert every single template and report. I just converted a handful. So I'm going to bring up the two that I showed you in Clarity. So the first one was the income statement budget, which I have here. So as I run that, you can see, I flip back and forth, looks very similar. Right? Slight look and feel. That's, this slight difference between the look and feel, but for the most part, it's a web sheet. Right? So now I'm going to show you a template. So the expense template budget, and again, as you can see, looks very similar to what you have in Clarity. I can also enter data in here. Etc. Right. And the functions you see on the sidebar here are in TM1 a combination of controls at top and also right-click. For example, spreading. I can right-click and use data spread. Spread. Say 100 to the right. You see, there we go. Right. So some spreading that, different spreading that you can do. Now, as Ian mentioned, one additional features of TM1 that is of great interest to those of you, especially those in the finance department, is the close integration with Excel. Now, these were actually created, these web sheets were actually created based on reports and templates that were developed in Excel. So I'm going to bring up the Excel version of the income statement. As you can see, it's fully Excel right now. All I got to do is connect to my TM1 instance, and boom. Right? Now, the advantage of this is you now have full Excel functionality. That means that you can use Excel macro, you can do fancy VBA because you're really using Excel. And again, I'm also going to show you the expense template. Right? As you can see, all it is an Excel sheet. And publishing to the web is as simple as taking your Excel sheet and uploading it to the TM1 server. Now, of course, the caveat is not all Excel functions will be converted to web. Not all macros will work. Not all functions will work. But a couple of functions that do translate, which Clarity didn't, is one of the things is you can actually put a logo in your Excel sheet, and that will appear on the web within the sheet itself, and also word wrapping. I know that's been a concern in some of the reports that people have run where they couldn't do word wrapping in Clarity. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to show you more details about TM1. And I'm going to switch over to different computer. And Bob, I'm going to go over to your computer. You can bring it up and let me have control. Okay. So what you see here is really TM1. One of the points that Ian mentioned about TM1 is that it's actually got better workflow management process than Clarity. You can see here, it's a typical TM1 application. So we've done it in the more of like the workflow view. Before I do that, I want to show you Bob, the resolution seems to be off for some reason here. Bob, can you resize it? The resolution is wrong for the screen.
So what do you need here?
Okay, all right. No, I'm good.
This is what you're looking for, right?
Nope. Okay. First of all, I'm going to log into, there's two different ways of looking at TM1. So I'm going to log into what's called the TM1 web sheet, which will give you all right. So you can see in a TM1 application, right? So this is you can also make it look like Clarity. So this is a pure TM1 install, no links to Clarity whatsoever, or you can use what's called TM1 application web. Which are bringing in what's known as the Cognos workspace. This is a pretty much standard interface for all Cognos applications. You can see we have one application here, which will bring up to a screen that we have. Now, on your left-hand side, you see a tree, which is really your workflow definition. As I navigate down the tree, I've already predefined my workflow based on regions, right? So if I expand the region into, say, Toronto, as you can see on this node, I can see that something here is already reserved. If I look at another node, Chicago, you can see it's available. So let's bring up the Toronto sheets for a second here. So click on Toronto. it will launch and go into the TM1 application web. Now, of course, my user is an administrative user, so I see everything. And of course, you can always restrict what you see or what users can do based on the hierarchy. As you can see here, I have various tabs on top, which relates to different components of my budgeting. So if I go into here and I want to change a value, I can go in here and change a value. Right? Change shipping costs here, like so. Right? You see, once I can use different spreading as well. I can add comments. Right? So this is a very kind of typical Excel layout that you might use. And if I commit that data, it's changed. So if I look at any other of the reports, right? So and here's an example of a report, but here's also an example of where you can do a multiple view of a chart and a graph. Quite easily, I can change the graph, right? Change my type, the bar. Very, very, very dynamic. Right? So I'm not limited to some of the older Clarity reports where all you do is all you can see is what is shown. Right? And even within the chart itself, I can drill up, drill down, right? Expand. Right. Now, if I want to once I'm ready, I can submit this. And if I exit out of here back to my workflow, as you can see, it's locked. Right? That means the description here, data has been submitted, and the approval item was locked. Data is in read-only state. So basically now, depending on how I structure my workflow, the next person in line will get an email, and then they will have to go in and either approve or reject it. So this is very similar to the Clarity workflow that you might have, but really it gives you a little bit more, some more advanced features, and is very graphical to make it easier to navigate. All right, I'm going to a different one for a second here. So I'm going to go into Chicago. All right. Now, you see when I first go in, everything is grayed out. I really have to take ownership of this. Once I take ownership, cells are no longer gray. That means I can go in and change data. So price and cost here. And what a unique feature of this, and some of you on Clarity will be familiar with this, versioning. TM1 has what's called a sandbox, which allows me to create as many copies of the data as I want. So this is really a web scenario. Now, this goes beyond what Clarity can do. Is, as you know, Clarity is limited to the number of versions or scenarios that's defined in a system. Here, you can have as many as you need. Of course, depending on your system, how powerful your system is. I can give it a name. I can create new. And it's really created on demand by user. So really now I have a separate set of data called demo test that I can play with. I can do all kinds of good stuff. Right. Right, so spread 200 across the remaining mines, where I can put data hold. So that value's on hold, so now I can change all kinds of data and have what it is. And then, I can have as many sandboxes as I want. And each sandbox is unique to the user. So each user can have their own version of the sandbox. Right? And once it's done, I can delete it, or I can actually, if I think that this sandbox is what I want, I can actually merge this with the final data. Right? Just, if I switch to view, I can multiple views. So I've shown you this earlier. So, so as you can see, it's quite powerful. Right. Okay. So now what I'll do is, there's a lot more features in TM1, and unfortunately, we don't have enough time during this webinar to demonstrate all the features. We do, however, have a video on our website, which we will send you out the link after this webinar, and it does have a short video that gives you a little bit more detail about TM1 and its features. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch over, give you a quick demo of Cognos Express. Hey, Bob, I'm not able to switch. Can you? Oh, there we go. All right. Okay, so you see this familiar Cognos connection screen. Now, what we have here is really, this is where the user would start. Again, there's a lot of features in Cognos Express. Ian mentioned a lot of things like accelerator. Those tools are there to help you build your dashboard or your reports. But what I'm going to show you is a couple of really unique features that I think you guys will like. So one of the biggest things about Cognos Express is it uses the BI front-end and allows you to create active reports. So I'm just going to top one, go into sales. As you know, those of you who know what active reports are, they're a fully self-contained HTML code that you can really put on any website. So let's go to this executive sales dashboard. I'm going to apologize for the slowness of the system. We are running this off of a laptop, and hopefully that if you were to install the system, you're running on a system much more powerful than a laptop. So I'm going to bring this, open up a little bit here, maximize this. So as you can see here, it's a nice dashboard. It is a active report, but you do have limited changing capabilities. So, for example, I can have this little drag bar here to change which quarter I want to see. Right? Change the data changes according to the value that I've selected. Now, as well, I can also click on, I have certain components. For example, this pie chart here. If I click on that, the data changes. Now, this is not a true drill down because, this, as you know, this is an active report, and there's no active link to any data sources in the back end. It's merely just a view of static data. That being said, I'm going to go into what is known as so I'm going to show you Business Insight. Now, the Business Insight dashboard gives you a little bit more playroom. Right, so let's look again at the executive sales dashboard. Click on it. Come up. Bob, can you see anything on your end? Oh, there we go. Just a second. Hey, Bob, can you see if there's anything wrong on your end there? Bob?
I'm here. I don't see anything. I think it's just that it's running off a laptop here.
You know what? Let me log off and log back on. Any, is it using a lot of CPU or disk?
It is, yeah. I've got the other one running in the background too, so it's...
I'm sorry?
The other VM is running in the background right now as well, so I think that might be slowing it down now.
Oh, can you shut it down?
Sure.
Ah, it's doing Windows Update. That's why it's taking so long. Whoops. Well, so you see, folks, Windows Update, the nemesis of our existence, does Windows Update when you least want it to do. I'm sure you guys are all have experienced that, especially those of you in IT.
So let's
yay!
well, we'll just talk. Why don't we just talk through it then?
Okay. All right. You know what? Why don't we go like this? There we go. Hopefully this will give us a little bit more room back. Apologize about that, folks. See what we can do. Updating to now.
Do you want to go back to the active report ones? We'll talk about that a little bit more.
Nope, here it is. It's coming up.
Okay.
So let me maximize this. Really, the BI part gives you a really better way of showing your data. You know, it extends the power of the Cognos BI toolset onto your TM1. You know, the back end here is really going against a TM1 cube, but you know, going beyond what TM1 can do. It now gives you all these really great dashboards. You know, different ways of presenting the reports. Like you know, Ian saying earlier, it has a component of that allows you to extend this to iPads. It actually has an iPad app that is there, and you know, you can also you know, use the active reports. Okay, now something else is happening. Oh, there you go, it's coming up. Well, give it a few more minutes. If not, then it's short 3 and short the demo here.
So while that's coming up, there's a couple of questions that have been asked in the chat, so we can talk about that a bit. Oh, there it comes.
Right.
Go ahead, Kit.
Okay. All right. So you can see now this looks a lot like the active reports, right? But however, gives you a little bit of drill down capability. I can actually, if I click on North America, data now changes, so I can drill down on it. I guess that's must be doing some Windows update in the back as well. Yeah, Bob, why don't you talk to that while this thing's trying to come up?
Sure. So let's see, what questions do we have here? So there's a question about does Cognos Express have the same licensing equivalency incentive for Clarity clients as Cognos TM1?
I think Ian can answer that one. Ian?
Yeah, sure, guys. So that's a good question. There is no licensing equivalency for Cognos Express. When you use the licensing equivalency, if you're going to go to TM1, as mentioned, you can exchange your Clarity end user license for TM1 end user license, but you need to buy the TM1 server component for that. If you go to Cognos Express, you need to buy the server and the end user licenses. I mentioned that Cognos Express is very competitively priced. So interesting enough, what we have found is across your 3 options, if you're just going to upgrade from Clarity 5 or 6 to Clarity 7, your services cost is about the same, relatively the same, as your services cost if you went to TM1 or to Cognos Express to build your reports. You have no software cost if you upgrade Clarity. If you upgrade to TM1, your software cost is the TM1 server only. If you upgrade to Express, you have the server and end user licenses for Express. And generally, your server license costs for TM1, we have found, is generally about the same as what your server and end user licensing costs would be for Cognos Express. So while you have the licensing equivalency for TM1, you could assume at this point that generally your software costs are going to be about the same whether you go to TM1 or to Express.
Thanks, Ian. That's good. Let's see. The next one here was, does Clarity 7 support XBRL? That's a pretty common question I find from folks that are familiar with FSR or CDM. So that's Financial Statement Reporting or Cognos Disclosure Management. Those are the tools that folks typically use with if they have to do kind of XBRL type of reporting. So Clarity 7 is the budgeting and planning piece of the solution, whereas FSR and CDM are more related to document creation. So that was actually, for that person there, for Mitchell Santos, if you want to watch the last webinar we did an hour on CDM, and that goes into a little more detail on that. But the FSR, if I remember correctly, FSR does support XBRL, and CDM will in the next couple of versions. So I see the screen's up now. So Kit, what was it you wanted to show us here?
Yeah, really, just as you can see, I drilled down on North America, and it actually showed up Canada and United States. Really, the idea here is that the dashboard here gives you a little bit more freedom and a little bit more drilling capability than you have in the active reports. Now, each one of these widgets are standalone, so you can actually at any time probably move them around the screen. I think I'm having a problem. So I can move it around. Though maybe it's not a good idea to do that, but I know there's some features that I can use. Fit out widgets to window, right? And it automatically reorganizes the widget to a space that you have, right? Or I can also arrange our widgets to fit content. And I can dynamically add or subtract widgets on here, right? If I right-click, I can insert a toolbox widget, right? Different things on the side here. So you can see it's a little bit more powerful, and these views makes it a really nice dashboard here. And I guess that's all the time we have to be able to show some Cognos Express features. So I guess we'll continue on with the questions.
Sure. So let's go back to the chat window here. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to enter them in the chat window. We'll just go through them as they are here in the list. The next one I see here is, how easy of an upgrade path is it from Clarity 6 to either controller or TM1? What effort is needed? How long? What price range would you be looking at for the installation? So that's definitely a good question. Unfortunately, it always comes back to it depends on your solution, how complex it is, how many reports. If you're going from just Clarity 6 to Clarity 7, you're going from something maybe a little bit older, maybe from Clarity 5 to Clarity 7, or you're going to TM1. So a lot of variables to consider in that. But Ian will probably go into a little more detail on this because we have some pieces that can help folks out when they try and figure all those options out. What's the next question here? So this is about FSR. Okay, yeah. So we talked about FSR and CDM. Next question: will you have a separate webinar on the Cognos controller product? I guess if there's interest in that, we can look at doing that. We don't have one scheduled right now, but something for us to think about. So Next question. We also have FSR in place. How well does Controller, TM1, and Express integrate with FSR? Good question. So FSR, being a separate tool, it just looks at any data source that can be provided using a standard OLAP or OLDB provider. Controller, TM1, and Express all sit on top of a data source that would be fine in FSR. So those should be fine. So that's it for the chat window. Were there any other questions that folks had that would like us to address while we're on the call here? Okay, great. If you have any more, go ahead and type them out. But maybe in the time being, for the time remaining, Ian, if you want to kind of wrap up, and we'll have it out on time.
Thanks, Bob. That's great. And so hopefully you got a little bit of an insight today on some of the options. And these are real viable options, really, because this is what Clarity clients are doing. So once again, you have three considerations when you're thinking about your upgrade from Clarity 5 or 6. You can upgrade to Clarity 7, and you've got a nice lifespan there, and you can continue to use that. However, aside from the software cost, which is basically the same between TM1 or Express when it includes the licensing equivalency, with that software cost, your servicing costs are about the same, and you can make the jump to TM1 or Express, and hopefully you saw some things today that gave you some additional insights. Of course, as Kit mentioned, you can only do so much in a webinar. We're happy to touch base with any of you one-on-one with your organization and walk through things in the context of what you have. So additional helps, we do have something called CI Clarity Discovery. This is a little solution that we have where we can come in and analyze your system, talk to your end users, find out what's working, what's not working with Clarity, where would you like to see your system go, and then that can all be put together into a bit of a recommendation that then says, based upon what you have, here's some considerations on whether to invest and upgrade straight to Clarity or to go to some of the other tools and what your costs are. And so that's something that's available that we do for our clients. CI Clarity Discovery, and you can talk to us about that. A couple other things. We are planning on running a TM1 workshop in the IBM offices in Markham, Ontario on April 25th. So if you're able to get to the IBM office in Markham, it's going to be a complimentary workshop. And at that workshop, it's specifically designed for Clarity clients to let you experience TM1 for yourself, give you one-on-one interaction, be able to work with our experts, and really give you a chance to experiment with TM1. And so that's on April 25th, and we will pass along and look out for registration opportunities for that. As well, the Clarity User Group. We support a Clarity User Group, and the next meeting coming up is going to be at the Vision Conference in Orlando, Florida in May. And on that Monday evening, we are going to have a Clarity User Group exclusively for Clarity folks, where you can meet your peers, talk to experts. We're going to have presentations and open Q&A, etc. So if you're thinking of making it down to Vision, be sure and register and be part of that Clarity User Group. So Vision, just quick for you, it really is the conference for the Office of Finance from IBM. A terrific conference. It's going to cover all of these topics we talked about today. Limited discussion around Clarity because it is not the strategic product, so you're not going to see a lot about Clarity there other than our user group and a couple of sessions, but you will see a lot about the other products and kind of get a sense of where things are going in the industry. If you can go to Vision, you'd like to go, there you see we have a code at the bottom there in red. You can register at that link, use our code, Clear Vision 2013, and that will get you a $300 discount rate to register for Vision. So we would encourage you to consider that and go to that conference. We will be there. We will have a booth there, and we'd love to meet you and see you at Vision. So I think that's it for our webinar today. We're just top of the hour. By all means, we'd love to hear from you. Feel free to contact us at any of these points mentioned here, as well as on LinkedIn. That's where the LinkedIn group, user group is for Clarity as well. You can hook into that also. So thank you again for your time, and we look forward to connecting with you in the future. Bye for now.